Hello, my name is Jared Wilson, and welcome to my EDL 959 Module 9 case study. Breaking down some of the key information. First is Kim. Kim is the assistant principal at Triscuit Middle School. She's been there for 5 years, and the school ranges from 6th to 8th grade. Breaking down the school a little bit more, we have 650 students. We have 80 staff. It is Rockford City School District. It's a large metropolitan area. Our ethnicity breakdown is 80% African American, 17% white, 3% other. The majority of the staff is noted as Caucasian. 65% of our students are on free and reduced lunch, and we struggle with parent involvement, ranging about 25%. Kind of a broad overview of the school statistically, of what it looks like. So looking at the goals, kind of the things that are mentioned by Kim in this case study for what is wanting to be accomplished, is creating a creating a data literacy curriculum. Kim in this case study is kind of characterized as a technology geek and wanting to incorporate more of the technology rich curriculum in their school. So creating that data literacy curriculum, as well as using it for both academic and non-academic resources, introducing new assessments to measure growth, seeing how the assessments can benefit students, seeing why they might not work, demonstrating just better overall success with assessments, how the district data systems are incorporated, and then making sure that that technology-rich curriculum is being used throughout all of the classes at Triscuit Middle School. So breaking down the facts more, so when does this take place? It doesn't necessarily say within the grade level of when it does, or within the grade of when it does take place. This would play a role depending on what type of decisions are being made, what type of support systems are in place for when, versus beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year. But for this scenario, I'm using just mid-year. And then I did note that it's in the second year of improvement. So in Colorado, we'd call that turnaround. They're in that second year where they've had 1 year to demonstrate. If the data is not sufficient, you go into a second year of improvement plan as that. Again, just that quick breakdown is that Triscuit Middle School, 650 students, 80 staff in that metropolitan area. One thing again to highlight was the major difference in ethnicities between the students and the staff. The students showed a lot of diversity as to where the staff showed primarily none. So something that kind of will play a role in this case study breakdown as well. And then to identify stakeholders. In this situation, the biggest stakeholders is the principal, assistant principal, staff, and students. So summarizing the case, the biggest thing is the data that is being collected is demonstrating that the students are having troubles with the assessment. At one point it says that they are giving students are getting 0 to no attempts on a lot of the short answer in questions with the assessment, which leads the staff as well as myself to believe that there's another reason for why those students are unable to answer those questions. Either it's difficulty with the writing aspect, the explaining aspect, the elaboration of what is happening, or being able to relate to the assessments that are given. We are continuously seeing this shift in our students and their cultures, and when we are giving them assessments that don't support multicultural perspectives, it makes it very hard for some of our other students with different cultures to really excel compared to students that share that same culture that their teacher or that their instructor has. One thing that's noted as a change that is made by Kim is that there is a transition from 7 periods to 4 periods. This is an attempt at getting more instructional minutes with technology and having it be, rather than shorter periods, more transitions between teachers, longer periods, less transition, but more opportunities to incorporate that technology-rich curriculum, as well as develop and use assessments within those classrooms as well. And the big kind of question is, how to foster a shift in student instruction and digital literacy. So how can the administration in this case shift what that instruction looks like, and how can they use digital literacy and technology resources to better as a shift or as a supplement in making that shift. Kind of breaking down the details more. So key information is the data being used. It begs the question whether all the data has been collected. It seems like they have assessment data, but all they're seeing is that short answers are not being effectively answered or having any type of growth or any type of achievement with those. So the data that it does address is important. It shows what they're lacking, but it doesn't give enough details as far as what content it looks at, what type of test it is. It doesn't give any examples of the information that is covered on the assessment, and it kind of ignores that data. It also ignores if it's all grade level. It also ignores what was it years before going to 6-8, and then what kind of efficiency or what kind of scores are they seeing at 9-12 after they've left that school, to see if it's something that's school-wide, grade level-wise, teacher-wise. Just kind of there's no measures put on that data. It's just kind of openly assessed data. Big key component is the cultural responsive assessment. So again, there's nothing about the assessments. It says that they are very strong believers in a old school pencil and paper assessment style, which is kind of why there's a push and a shift towards something to help meet the needs or bridge the gap in relationship between those students and the staff itself in the assessments. So the evaluation of the current data systems and instruction. So as of right now, it talks about that there is data. They are collecting data. They're on that second year of being monitored, of being watched, trying to turn that school around, trying to turn that data around. But there's not as far as the breakdowns as to what programs they're using or what support systems they are using. It's just a general breakdown of what is happening at that school. It would be beneficial to know how to break that down, to apply more measures to see exactly what students are struggling. And if it's all students, being able to implement a new system or implement new instruction and see what kind of data is driven from that as well. So again, developing that new system and instruction. When you're moving out and you're putting in any type of instruction, you want to use data to data check yourself, essentially. If excuse me, if you were to go in, implement a whole new math curriculum, and then think everything's great, don't check any data, all of a sudden you have all your kids failing, well, something is going on. Either the instruction piece is missing, something with the curriculum is missing, there's some sort of gap that happened, but you don't see that unless you have an effective data system. You really need to have that in place, used by all teachers, so that you can compare data to really decide what is being effective and what is not. And then looking at the current and future success for all students, in order to really meet the needs of these students, they've got to dive into the data and see why they are not able to access those assessments, and find ways that they can use those assessments to better educate their students. So ethical and legal issues, there's no growth in student achievement. There's no change in the type of instruction. It kind of seems like everyone's resistant to change. They've all been there for a majority of years. It says that teacher turnaround is not an issue the school deals with, but that may cause some resistance to change, being that they're still using the same traditional style assessments and core instruction. Right now, there's no legal issues that have been identified. There have no students that have been hurt physically, but there are students that have not been supported academically and non-academically. So breaking this down into one sentence, during the second year of school improvement, Kim is challenged with implementing digital literacy, technology integration, and multicultural curriculum strategies within her school in hopes to increase student engagement and as well as student achievement. Breaking down those facts, yet again, you've got Kim, the staff with that 10 plus years. There is possible resistance. I also noted here that lack of diversity within the staff can play a major role, seeing that you do have students that mirror large diversity. or a large number of diversity. And so being able to make sure that the lessons that are being taught are matching the different cultures that the students share and they bring into the classroom, rather than just representing the teacher's culture and what they are used to. And then kind of that access to assessment. Are the people at this school providing adequate access for all students to those assessments? Again, a quick breakdown of the plays. You can see again that diversity in the students, and not only in ethnicity but also in socioeconomic status, where you have 65% of your students on free and reduced lunch. In most cases, we see that a lot in Colorado with Title I schools. It's definitely a different atmosphere between when you're in a title school versus not. Looking at the program right now, it's a public education program. They're getting turnaround support. One thing that is being modified right now is that change in instruction time periods. So they're going to less periods during the day, more time in those periods. It is important to note that the program is underperforming. So trying to figure out how they can meet their benchmark, how they can meet their goals so that they are considered performing, and then turn around from that point. Another missing piece in this component is the UIP. So what kind of individual program is this school on in order to get better? What have they said is going to be the steps they are going to take to turn the school around? And also just the missing supports. What are they doing to support their students? What are teachers doing to support their students? Surely they're not just giving assessments, seeing them fail time after time after time again, and they are not implementing any type of supports. So just kind of prioritizing that information. It's crucial to understand that it impacts all stakeholders. Admin, staff, students, and community will all play a role in this. Stakeholders that would still need to be consulted by Kim or myself in this situation is the school board, the superintendent, the staff, and the community. I mentioned the school board and the superintendent primarily because it's always nice whenever you have your higher ups, your people that are on top, they understand what the initiatives is, especially when you have a UIP or a turnaround school. They're very involved in what the instructional process is looking like, what kind of shifts you're making, and that is a great chance to make sure you include them on those changes. It's also important to make sure that they are on board with those changes and what you're doing so that they can be supportive, so everyone's on the same page. Staff, of course, in this situation, you need to consult the staff of any changes that are being made, what the expectations are, all of the details for implementation. And then again, identifying that it's going to directly affect the students, families, principal, admin, and teachers. So can I learn more about the situation? Yes. The biggest thing I think right now to know is the data supported strategies. So what strategies, what technology strategies are being implemented? Are they things that Kim has just come up with, or I guess in this case scenario, I have just come up with, or are they data proven strategies? It's crucial that they're data proven strategies, but also I have to understand that it's not just introducing technology, but I also have to introduce multicultural resources as well. So that there's a rigorous process that needs to take place as far as deciding what resources we're going to be using, what support strategies we're going to be using, what instructional strategies we're going to be using to really meet the needs of all students. But do I have enough to make a decision? Yes, there is enough to make a decision because rather than deciding on the types of strategies we're using, right now I'm going to focus more on the delivery of what that looks like at the school level. So I've got three different possible options. You have the directive control, which is the administration lead. They do most of the controlling. There's not any individual planning, and it kind of mimics the characteristics of Kim, where she kind of likes to take charge of things, control things, and really deliver everything so that teachers don't have to do a lot of that outside of the box thinking. The next up is the mid-level decision. That's the directive and formational decision. It kind of allows the leader or the administrator, it allows for administration to kind of make direct choices. They might have a menu of options for what they're going to do, the avenues they're going to do, how teachers can accomplish this. It allows for moderate control, but it still kind of enables some collaboration. Looking at the non-directive, this is the maximum collaboration. This is all teacher directed. It allows each teacher to use their strengths, and there's less control by admin in this